You think you know what danger sounds like? You think it comes with a growl or a knife or a dark figure in the rearview mirror? No. Sometimes danger sounds like two girls laughing so hard they can't breathe, windows down, music blasting, hair whipping in the wind at 2:17 in the morning on a deserted stretch of I-40 in Oklahoma. Sometimes danger pulls up in a beat-up red Subaru with fairy lights wrapped around the rearview mirror and says, "Hey, cutie, you look like you could use some trouble tonight." I was 19, broke, exhausted, and stupid enough to believe the universe still owed me one good night. I'd been standing on the shoulder for almost 4 hours. My phone was dead, my water bottle was empty. Every semi that flew past rocked me back on my heels like a slap. Then their car slowed down, brake lights glowing like two red eyes, and the passenger window rolled down. The girl in the passenger seat leaned out, long black hair with purple streaks, freckles across her nose, eyes sparkling like she'd just heard the funniest secret in the world. "You lost, baby?" she shouted over the music. Behind the wheel, her twin sisters, almost identical but with shorter hair and a silver nose ring, grinned wide and waved me over like we were old friends. I should have said no. Every instinct I had screamed that this was wrong. But I was cold, hungry, and the way they both looked at me, like I was the most interesting thing they'd seen all night, it hit something deep. I opened the back door and climbed in. The car smelled like vanilla body spray, weed, and something sweeter underneath, almost like strawberries mixed with rust. The music was deafening, some hyper-pop track with distorted vocals and pounding bass. The driver, who introduced herself as Lila, immediately passed me a half-empty bottle of Jack Daniels. "Drink," she ordered, laughing. "You look like you need to catch up." Her sister, Mia, turned around in her seat, kneeling backwards so she could face me fully. "We're on a mission," she said, eyes bright. "We pick up lost boys and give them one perfect night. No rules. No tomorrow, just right now. You in?" I took a swig. The whiskey burned all the way down. They both cheered like I'd just won something. The car accelerated hard, tires squealing a little as we merged back onto the empty highway. Fairy lights twinkled above my head. The heater was on full blast. For the first 10 minutes, it felt like the best decision I'd ever made. They were electric. Non-stop talking, finishing each other's sentences, touching my arm, my knee, my hair. They told me they were sisters, 21 and 22, traveling the country for research. When I asked what kind of research, Mia just smiled this slow, wicked smile and said, "Human behavior. What people say when they think it's their last night on Earth." I laughed it off, thought it was dark humor. They passed me a joint. I took a hit. The world got softer, warmer, funnier. Lila cranked the music even louder. They started singing along, off-key and beautiful, and suddenly both of them were reaching back. One hand on my thigh, the other playing with my fingers. I felt like the main character in someone else's fever dream. We drove like that for almost an hour, laughing, drinking, smoking. They asked me everything. Where I was from, if I had a girlfriend, what my mom's voice sounded like, whether I believed in heaven, what I'd say to my dad if I could call him right now and he'd actually pick up. I answered honestly. The weed made me honest. I told them about my little brother who died when I was 14, how I never got to say goodbye properly, how sometimes I still talk to him out loud when I'm alone on the road. Mia's eyes lit up. "That's beautiful," she whispered. "Would you want to say something to him tonight? We could record it for you, so you can keep it forever." Lila glanced at me in the rearview mirror, her smile never fading. "Yeah, one last message, just in case. You never know what tomorrow brings, right?" The car kept flying down the dark highway, music pulsing, their laughter wrapping around me like silk. But something in the air had changed. The sweetness underneath the strawberry smell was getting stronger, and for the first time, I noticed the small digital recorder sitting on the center console. Red light blinking steadily, like it was already listening. The red light on that little recorder kept blinking like a heartbeat. Steady, patient, waiting. I laughed nervously, trying to play it cool. "Nah, I'm good. I talk to him in my head sometimes. That's enough." Mia's smile didn't falter. If anything, it got softer, sweeter. She reached back and gently took my hand, her fingers cool and surprisingly strong. "Come on, it'll be cathartic, like therapy but better." We do this all the time. People tell us the most beautiful things when they think it's their last chance, and then they feel free. Lila turned the music down just a notch. Not off, just enough so we could hear each other clearly. The bass still thumped in my chest like a second heartbeat. She glanced at me in the rear view again, eyes glittering under the fairy lights. We've got 9 recordings so far, all boys like you. Lost, sweet, honest. Their last words are poetry. We listen to them when we miss the road. It keeps us company. My stomach dropped so fast I almost gagged. The weed suddenly felt like poison in my veins. I tried to pull my hand back, but Mia held on tighter, thumb stroking the back of my knuckles like I was a scared animal. Relax, she whispered. We're not monsters. We just collect moments. The real ones. The ones people usually die without saying. Lila laughed softly. Like your brother. You never got to say goodbye properly, right? Imagine if he could hear you now. Imagine if you could leave something behind that actually mattered. The car was still flying down the highway. Maybe 85, maybe 90. No other headlights in sight, just black asphalt stretching forever under a sky full of indifferent stars. I looked around for the first time, really looked. There was no handle on the inside of the back doors. The child locks were engaged. The windows were tinted so dark that even if another car passed, no one would see me inside. My mouth went dry. Let me out, I said quietly. Mia tilted her head. Why? We're just getting to the good part. Lila reached over and pressed a button on the center console. A soft click, then another. The doors locked. The recorder's red light kept blinking. I lunged for the door anyway. Habit, panic, stupidity. Nothing happened. The handle just clicked uselessly. Mia giggled. We modified them. Safety first, right? My heart was slamming so hard I could taste it in my throat. I looked at the digital recorder again. It wasn't just recording. There was a tiny screen on it, and I could see the waveform jumping every time someone spoke. Right now it was spiking with my own breathing, fast, ragged, terrified. Please, I said. My voice cracked. Just let me out. I won't tell anyone, I swear. Lila sighed dramatically. That's what the last one said too. Number 8, sweet kid from Nebraska. He cried the whole time he recorded his message to his mom. It was heartbreaking. We still listen to it sometimes when we're driving at night. Mia leaned closer, her face inches from mine. She smelled like strawberries and something metallic. You're number 10, by the way. We like round numbers. I felt tears burning behind my eyes. Not from fear, well, yes, from fear, but mostly from the sudden, crushing realization that I might never see my mom again. Never hug my little sister. Never apologize to my dad for all the stupid fights, all the things I'd left unsaid. Mia must have seen it on my face because her expression softened, almost tender. There it is, she whispered. That's the look we wait for, the moment you understand how much you have left to say. She picked up the recorder, held it out to me like an offering. Go on, speak. Tell your brother you love him. Tell your mom you're sorry. Tell your dad you forgive him. Whatever it is, we'll make sure it gets heard. Lila slowed the car a little, not enough to stop, just enough to make the silence louder. We're not in a rush, she said gently. We want it to be perfect. I stared at the recorder, at the blinking red light, at their 2 beautiful, insane faces watching me like I was the most precious thing they'd ever found. And in that moment, something inside me snapped. Not courage, not bravery, survival. I took the recorder from Mia's hand. Her eyes lit up. Good boy. I held it close to my mouth. My voice came out small, trembling. Hey, little bro, if you're listening, I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. I love you, always will. Mia sighed happily. Lila smiled in the mirror. I kept going. Mom, I'm sorry I left without saying goodbye. I love you more than anything. Tell Dad. Tell him I'm not mad anymore. I just wish I could have been better. The waveform on the tiny screen danced wildly, and then I whispered the last thing, the thing I knew they wanted most. I'm scared. I don't want to die. Mia reached back and stroked my cheek. Perfect, she breathed. That's the one we'll play the most. Lila turned the music back up. slowed the car even more. I felt the Subaru drift toward the shoulder. Gravel crunched under the tires. They were pulling over. The Subaru rolled to a stop on the gravel shoulder, the tires grinding like teeth. The music kept playing, but Lila killed the headlights. Suddenly, the only light came from those stupid fairy lights wrapped around the mirror, casting everything in a soft pink glow that made the whole scene feel like a nightmare dressed up as a dream. Mia turned fully in her seat, knees on the leather, leaning over the center console so close I could see the tiny scar on her upper lip. "That was beautiful," she said softly. "You did so good. Number 10 is going to be our favorite, I can already tell." Lila reached under her seat and pulled out something long and black. A zip tie, thick, industrial. She smiled at me in the mirror. "We like to make it quick after the recording. No suffering. We're not cruel." My mind went completely blank for a second, then exploded with one single thought. I am going to die here. I looked at the recorder still in my hand. The red light was still blinking. Without thinking, I slammed it as hard as I could against the window. The plastic cracked but didn't break. Mia's eyes widened. "What are you—" I swung again, harder, aiming for her face. The corner of the recorder caught her on the cheekbone. She screamed, more surprised than hurt, and jerked backward. Blood bloomed instantly, bright red against her pale skin. Lila lunged between the seats, trying to grab my wrist. "You little shit!" I kicked out with everything I had, my boot connecting with her shoulder. She grunted and fell sideways, hitting the steering wheel. The horn blared once, loud and stupid in the empty night. The car was chaos, music still blasting. Fairy lights swinging. Mia holding her bleeding face, Lila trying to climb into the back with me. I scrambled for anything I could use. My hand closed around the half-empty Jack Daniels bottle. I swung it like a club and smashed it against the side of Lila's head as she reached for my throat. Glass exploded. Whiskey sprayed everywhere. She howled and fell back, clutching her temple. Blood mixed with liquor ran down her face. I threw myself against the door again and again, still locked. Child lock. No handle. I reached forward, fumbling for the lock button on the driver's door. My fingers brushed it just as Mia grabbed my hair from behind and yanked hard, slamming my head against the window. Stars burst behind my eyes. Pain exploded in my skull. I tasted blood in my mouth. "You ruined it!" Mia screamed, her voice cracking with real rage for the first time. "You were supposed to be perfect." I elbowed backward blindly, caught her in the throat. She gagged and let go. I hit the unlock button. The door clicked. I shoved it open and spilled out onto the gravel, scraping my palms raw. The cold night air hit me like a slap. I was on my feet running before I even realized I was moving. Legs pumping, lungs burning, the half-broken recorder still clutched in my fist like a lifeline. Behind me, I heard both car doors open. Lila's voice slurred and furious. "Get him! Don't let him get to the road!" Their footsteps crunched on gravel. Fast. Too fast. I ran straight into the tall grass beside the highway. Weeds whipping my legs, thorns tearing at my jeans. The ground sloped down into a shallow ditch. I slid down it, losing my balance, rolling through dirt and broken glass from old bottles. I could hear them coming. Mia was crying now, angry sobs mixed with cursing. Lila was shouting my name. No, not my name. She was shouting, "Number 10! Number 10, come back!" I crawled on all fours through the ditch, staying low, heart hammering so hard I thought it would burst. My head was spinning from the hit to the window. Blood was running into my eye from a cut on my forehead. I risked a glance back. The fairy lights were still on inside the Subaru, making it glow like some evil carnival ride on the side of the road. Both sisters were silhouetted against it, searching the grass with their phones' flashlights sweeping back and forth. I kept moving, deeper into the dark, away from the highway. My only thought was, keep going. Don't stop. Don't look back. If they catch you, you die with that recorder in your hand and your last words already saved in their collection. I thought about my mom, my dad, my dead brother. The things I'd said into that recorder, the things I still hadn't said, and I ran harder. The flashlight beam swept closer. One of them, Lila, I think, was laughing now. A high, unhinged sound that carried across the field. "Run all you want, baby," she called into the night. "We've done this 9 times before. No one ever gets far." I kept running. The ditch ended at a barbed wire fence. I didn't even slow down, just threw myself over it, the barbs ripping through my hoodie and tearing into my arms and back. Hot pain exploded across my skin, but I didn't care. Pain meant I was still moving, still alive. On the other side was a cornfield, dry stalks from last season tall enough to hide in if I stayed low. I dropped to my hands and knees and crawled between the rows, the dry leaves rasping against my clothes like whispers. My breath came in short, ragged bursts. Every few seconds I stopped, listened. They were still coming. I could hear their voices now, closer than I wanted. Lila's slurred, angry shouts mixed with Mia's hysterical crying. Flashlight beams sliced through the corn like knives, sweeping left and right. One beam passed so close over my head I felt the air move. "Where are you, number 10? Lila called, her voice almost playful again. "We just want to finish the collection. You're so close to being perfect." Mia's voice cracked. "You hurt me. You made me bleed. That's not fair." I pressed my face into the dirt, tasting soil and blood. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure they could hear it. The recorder was still in my fist, cracked, sticky with whiskey and my own sweat. I shoved it into my pocket. If I died out here, at least they wouldn't get that last message. At least they wouldn't have my voice forever. The beams moved past my row. I waited 5 heartbeats, then crawled forward again. The field seemed endless. My arms burned from the cuts. My head throbbed from the hit to the window. But I kept going. Then I saw it, a faint glow on the horizon. Not headlights, something smaller. A farmhouse, a barn, a road. I crawled faster. Behind me, the voices were getting farther apart. They were spreading out, searching. Good. Split up, they were weaker. I reached the edge of the cornfield. Beyond it was open pasture, dark, rolling, no cover. But about 200 yards away, I could see the outline of an old barn, sagging roof, one small light flickering in a window. Someone was home. I didn't think, I just ran, low, fast, zigzagging like I'd seen in movies. My lungs screamed. My legs felt like lead, but I kept my eyes on that light. Halfway there, I heard Lila scream my direction. "There, he's running!" A flashlight beam swung toward me. I dropped flat into the grass. The light passed over me once, twice, then moved on. I waited until it swept away, then sprinted the last 50 yards. My hand hit the barn door. Locked. I circled around the side, found a small side door, half rotted. I shoved it open with my shoulder and slipped inside. The barn smelled like hay, motor oil, and old wood. Moonlight leaked through cracks in the walls. In the corner, an ancient tractor sat under a tarp. Tools hung on the walls. And in the far corner, a ladder leading up to a hayloft. I climbed, fast, quiet as I could. Up top, the hay was stacked high. I burrowed in, pulling loose bales over myself until I was completely hidden. Then I lay still, breathing through my mouth, listening. Minutes passed. Maybe 10, maybe 20. Then I heard the barn door creak. Footsteps, slow, careful. A flashlight beam swept the floor below me. Lila's voice, soft now, almost sweet. "We know you're in here, baby. We saw the blood on the door." Mia's voice, higher, trembling. "Come out. We won't hurt you anymore. We just want to talk." I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from making a sound. The footsteps moved closer to the ladder. One of them started climbing. Slow, deliberate. I felt around in the dark hay. My fingers closed around something cold and metal, an old pitchfork, half buried under the bales. I gripped it tight. The ladder creaked louder. Whoever was climbing was almost at the top. Then a new sound, distant but growing. Sirens. Red and blue lights flickered through the cracks in the barn walls. The footsteps froze. Lila whispered, furious, "Fuck!" Mia's voice cracked. "We have to go, now." They scrambled down the ladder. I heard them running across the barn floor. The side door slammed. I stayed buried in the hay, not moving, not breathing, until the sirens got close, until tires screeched on gravel outside, doors slammed, voices shouted. Then I started crying. Silent, shaking sobs. Not from fear anymore, from relief. The police found me 20 minutes later. A deputy climbed the ladder with a flashlight and a calm voice. "Hey kid, you're safe. Come on out." I crawled out of the hay, covered in dust and blood and straw. The deputy, a big guy with kind eyes, wrapped a blanket around my shoulders and helped me down. They'd gotten a call from a farmer who'd seen 2 girls chasing someone across his field. He'd watched from his porch, called 911, then grabbed his shotgun and waited. The Subaru was gone, but they had the license plate, and the farmer had seen their faces clearly. They caught them 3 days later in a motel in Amarillo. The recorder was still in the car, 10 files now, including mine. The police said the sisters had been doing this for almost 2 years. Always the same pattern. Pick up a boy, get him high, get him talking, record the last words, then strangle him with zip ties in some empty field. They kept the files like trophies, played them at night while they drove. I spent a week in the hospital. Stitches, concussion, a lot of questions. But every night when the lights went out, I'd think about that recorder, about the things I'd said into it, about how close I'd come to becoming number 10 forever. I never hitchhiked again, not because I was afraid, because I realized the road doesn't owe you anything. It just gives you chances, and sometimes those chances come with fairy lights, laughter, and a blinking red light. And sometimes you get to walk away. I did, and every day since, I've made sure to say the things that matter out loud to the people who need to hear them, because you never know when the last night might really be the last. The sirens grew louder, red and blue lights painting the night in frantic strokes across the barn walls. I stayed buried in the hay, shaking, until heavy boots climbed the ladder and a flashlight beam found me. Poltava, PD. Hands where I can see them, kid. I raised my arms slowly, straw falling from my hair like dirty snow. The deputy's face softened when he saw me. Bloodied, bruised, eyes wide with the kind of terror that doesn't fade quickly. "You're the one from the 911 call," he said, voice low and steady. "You're safe now. Come on down." He helped me to my feet. My legs barely held me. Outside, 3 patrol cars blocked the gravel drive. The farmer stood on his porch with a shotgun across his chest, face grim but satisfied. He'd watched the whole thing from his window, 2 girls chasing a boy across his field, the boy disappearing into the barn. He'd called it in immediately. They wrapped me in a scratchy wool blanket and sat me in the back of an ambulance. Paramedics cleaned the cuts on my arms, checked my head, asked if I knew my name, the date, where I was. I answered everything in a monotone, like I was reading from someone else's script. The police took my statement right there in the ambulance, every detail I could remember. The Subaru, the fairy lights, the recorder, the zip ties, the way they'd laughed when I said I was scared. They photographed the cuts, the blood on my hoodie, the cracked recorder I still clutched like it might disappear if I let go. They found the Subaru abandoned less than an hour later, parked behind a closed gas station 20 miles east, doors unlocked, engine still warm. Inside, the digital recorder with 10 audio files. Mine was the last one, timestamp 2:47 a.m. They played it for me later in a quiet room at the station, hearing my own voice, small, trembling, saying goodbye to my brother, my mom, my dad, made me throw up into a trash can. The sisters, real names were Elena and Sofia Markov, were arrested 2 days later in a cheap motel outside Amarillo. They hadn't even tried to run far. The recorder was still in the glove compartment. They'd kept all 10 files. The police said the oldest recording was from almost 2 years earlier. 9 boys before me. 9 families who never got closure. 9 voices frozen forever in a device the size of a deck of cards. The news called them the Last Word Sisters. The tabloids ran headlines like "Killer Twins Collected Dying Confessions." There were photos of them in court, identical faces, identical vacant smiles, like they were proud of their collection. I testified at the preliminary hearing 6 months later. I didn't look at them. I just read from my statement, voice steady for the first time since that night. When I finished, the judge asked if I had anything else to say. I looked at the prosecutor and said, "I want those recordings destroyed. All of them. Especially mine." The judge agreed. The files were wiped in front of me, permanently deleted, hard drive reformatted, device physically destroyed with a hammer. I watched every second. I never hitchhiked again. I went home, finished community college, got a boring office job, started dating a girl who hates the road and prefers trains. I call my mom every Sunday. I tell my dad I love him without being asked. I visit my brother's grave and talk to him out loud. No recorder, no audience, just me and the wind. Sometimes at night I still hear fairy lights twinkling. Sometimes I wake up tasting whiskey and strawberries. Sometimes I check my phone for messages from unknown numbers just in case, but mostly, I'm okay, I survived. I said the things that mattered before it was too late. And I learned the hardest truth of all. The scariest monsters don't hide in the dark. They pull up beside you with smiles, music, and open arms, and they want your last words more than your life.